Good morning/afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to dive into the fascinating world of motivating operations and applied behavior analysis with you today. We'll be exploring how different environmental factors can influence behavior, specifically through the concepts of establishing and abolishing operations. This is a crucial area that helps us understand why behaviors occur and how we can effectively support positive change. Let's get started. A motivating operation, or MO, is essentially an environmental event or condition that momentarily changes how valuable a reinforcer or punisher is. This shift then influences how often behaviors linked to that stimulus occur at that particular time. In the context of applied behavior analysis, understanding MOs is crucial because they help us determine why behavior happens when it does. MOs impact both a person's motivation and the strength of their behavior. They work by adjusting how reinforcing or punishing a consequence feels, which in turn affects whether the behavior that leads to that consequence increases or decreases in the moment. So, recognizing MOs allows us to better predict and influence behavior based on current motivational states. Now, let's talk about the two main types of motivating operations. First, we have establishing operations, or EOs. These increase how effective a reinforcer is, which means they make a particular reward more valuable. As a result, they boost the chances of behaviors that lead to that reinforcer. For example, if someone is hungry, food becomes more rewarding, so behaviors like searching for or asking for food become more likely. On the other hand, we have abolishing operations, or AOs. These do the opposite. They decrease the value of a reinforcer and, consequently, reduce the likelihood of behaviors that would normally lead to that reward. For instance, after eating a large meal, the person is less motivated by food, so food-seeking behaviors tend to drop. Understanding these two types helps us see how motivation can change behavior in different contexts. Motivating operations influence behavior by changing how effective a stimulus is as a reinforcer or punisher. Essentially, they can either increase or decrease the value of that stimulus. This change directly affects how often a behavior occurs. If the stimulus becomes more reinforcing or punishing, the behavior that leads to it will happen more frequently, and if it becomes less effective, the behavior will decrease. When we talk about establishing operations, or EOs, these make the reinforcer more valuable, which means the behaviors that produce that reinforcer become more likely to happen. On the flip side, abolishing operations, or AOs, reduce the value of the reinforcer, leading to a drop in those behaviors. Understanding these dynamics helps us predict and influence behavior more effectively. Let's look at some practical examples to better understand motivating operations. First, hunger serves as an establishing operation, or EO. When a child hasn't eaten for several hours, hunger makes food more reinforcing, so the child is more likely to engage in food-seeking behavior. On the flip side, fullness acts as an abolishing operation, or AO. After a large meal, the feeling of fullness reduces the reinforcing value of food, leading to less food-seeking behavior. Similarly, thirst is another establishing operation. For example, after exercise, a student feels thirsty, which makes water more valuable as a reinforcer and increases behaviors aimed at getting water. Finally, satiation functions as an abolishing operation. After drinking enough water, the feeling of being quenched decreases water's reinforcing value and reduces the motivation to seek more water. These examples clearly show how EOs and AOs influence behavior by altering the value of specific reinforcers.